Hello, this is Gabriel with G2O's Picks, and we're bringing to you today the best Netflix TV shows that are on. What we do is we do the hustle and bustle, we watch the shows, we review the shows, and then we bring to you what's the best of in this current week that we've been watching. Let's start with number one. Now, give or take a lazy, hazy, crazy Days of Summer episode, we really haven't seen too much of Stars Hollow in the off-season, so there are parts of this summer episode that are kind of a revelation. Unfortunately for the titular girls of the pool, shows the duo at their most insufferable. What's with the body shaming on back fat? What's with the indentured servitude of small children? Should the other citizens of Stars Hollow be so grateful that the girls are there that they all line up to peel them a grape? Similarly, instead of being gracious to everyone you know, express a kind of interest in welcoming her return, Rory instead snaps, "I'm not back at everyone." If only those people had shouted back, "Good!" At an almost not so quite snide level, Lorelai sneers at the musical town. But at least she gets called out by her fellow committee members. Rory and Lorelai both diss the 30-something gang and their parents ostensibly because they don't want to be lumped in with that pack. But honestly, there's no need to be so rude about it. When people complain about Rory and Lorelai as characters, Summer unfortunately offers some prime examples. To the episode's credit, however, the Daniel Palladino penned Stars Hollow charm and some well-timed emotional conversations pony up and save this episode. And about that musical, this episode definitely has some pacing problems. Palladino, as he is wont to do, turns up the Stars Hollow quirk to 11, but apparently had some trouble filling the 90 minutes. How else do we explain the full 10-minute stage time for admittedly awesome Sultan Huston and Christian Borle? I totally said their names wrong, augmented by an unnecessarily ABBA refrain. Even worse, the long montage of "let me check my notes." Yep, here it is. Just wanted to make sure. Delivering newspapers. In this brief revival, it definitely feels like this time could have been better spent having Lorelai creep through a Tai Chi class. More Paris and Michel. Even though it went on for a while, I'm kind of a sucker for Stars Hollow the musical. It could be in my deep and abiding Sutton Foster love, or the fact that, as my colleague pointed out on Twitter, and formerly married couple, Foster and Bory clearly work so well together. The songs started to grow on me after a while. I think whether or not you enjoyed it depends on how much a theater nerd you are. Kinda guilty on this end. Continuing our dumbfounded exploration of Rory's non-career from last episode, she calls her almost married boyfriend and suggests that she fly out to London the next day instead. Maybe there's a frequent flyer plan I'm not aware of. But regular humans know that flying out of somewhere with less than 24 hours jacks up the price an amazing amount. New York to London, $2,400 instead of $700 with more notice. Which seems like a ridiculous option for Rory if she's as broke as she says she is. And why would Rory spend this time just mooning about Logan anyway, since that relationship is obviously not going anywhere? Logan's admonishing, "Come on, that's not fair," when Rory points out how messed up their situation is. Like, come on. It's like an episode of The Good Wife. Is Rory's attachment to Logan a nostalgic throwback to Yale when she was on a somewhat better path? As she says to Lane, "I just need to be 20 again." Well, don't we all? So as loose ends, Rory returns to her roots and unsurprisingly picks up the mantle of her first read, the Stars Hollow Gazette. She at least gets a very welcome visitor. Yes, I have loudly proclaimed my unapologetic pro-Jess status. But giving pep talks to Rory is what he's best at, as well as tossing out Lou Grant references. He's the one who got her back into Yale after all. So in this sea of unfamiliar figures, therapist Claudia is the understudy, Jess is a welcome respite, and again, one of the only characters talking sense, as his ideal for a book is a good one. It also falls nicely into a bout with Lorelai, putting her at odds now with both her mother and her daughter. Emily gets the short shift in this particular season. Limited to an only brief flirtation with Leland Palmer. It's only at this point that I realize that Emily, who just lost her husband over 50 years and is in a befuddled state of unsettling proportions. And she seems to be getting bored with her DRA friends, which puts her at a nice crossroads as well. Lorelai, though, is the only one who realizes what she needs to do. Inspired by her Stars Hollow musical doppelganger, Violet, I'm not unbreakable, I'm breaking right now. She's gonna set off on the Wild Walk, as foreshadowed by her pool read, a completely out of character, slightly unreasonable plan, but at least it's something. Violet's Now or Never song could apply to each of our 3 Gilmore girls, highlighting some very lovely parallelism in this revival. Your crossroads can happen at any time, at any age. Life changes are never going to stop coming, and each time they do, we will again have to find a whole new way to deal with them. Some stray observations. If you liked Stars Hollow the musical, you've seen Waiting for Guffman, right? If not, remedy this ASAP. I haven't talked about Scott Patterson enough, but in that final moment with Lorelai, his why was so full of anguish, maybe the best scene he's ever done. Now, Lorelai, you weren't the only one crying at the Michel conversation. And I know nothing about musicals, but this is fun musical. That's hilarious. And April's just as annoying in this incarnation as she always was. What's with Lorelai pestering Luke over April's expenses? Just because she doesn't have a frequent London flying trust fund? I guess Lorelai was wondering if she herself could chip in, but it was odd. And I'm gonna have to binge watch Orange is the New Black for sure. And finally, Esther really likes that filing cabinet. What's with that? Well, stay tuned for the last review coming up.
Haven't done that for a while. Felt good.